The president is the chief executive officer of this corporation called the United States of America.
Can you handle the truth? Welcome to the Jordan Maxwell Show.
Hello, my friends. This is Jordan Maxwell. I'm back with you live this time. I've been having a lot of problems with my life and being able to do the shows and do what I want to do. So I've been struggling to fight enemies and all kinds of problems. So that's why I so many times have been able to miss doing my show on Saturday evenings. And so I want to apologize for that, but I'm still struggling to stay alive. I have many enemies that do not want me doing what I do and are seeking to make sure that I fail in my mission to wake people up. So there's a lot of strange things going on around the world, and people like myself and others who are on the cutting edge of trying to wake people up are having enormous amount of problems. I've talked about this before, but I think it bears witness again to talk about it for a moment. If you want to get a little knowledge about something in this world, you get what you pay for. If you want a little knowledge, well, then you can probably get a book on the subject you're interested in. It costs a few dollars, and that's about it. But if you want a deeper understanding, maybe you can go to a school or a seminar or something like that, and it may cost you a little more money. But this way, you'll be able to hear experts and ask questions. But that's going to cost you more than a book. And of course, if you really want more information, well, of course, you can go to university and go to college or study the subject. And but that's really going to cost you now when you're going to college and university. And there's no guarantee you get what you're looking for anyway. But the point being is that you get in this world what you pay for. So if you want knowledge, you're going to pay a little something. If you want a little more knowledge, then you're going to pay a little more. If you want the really important knowledge, the kind that people are looking for but don't have, you're really going to pay for that. And once you finally get into this whole idea of the truth as opposed to the mainstream lies and deception, you're going to discover, as I have and others like me, that the world becomes very different than what you think it is. Once you really begin to delve into the dark side of humanity, the dark side of the world you live in, government, law, commerce, etc., you will begin to find out, as others have, as I have, that there's a world of darkness out there that does not want you probing what they're doing. And they will do whatever they can to harass you, to destroy your name, your reputation, to rip you off, steal from you, do whatever they can to ruin you and your reputation in your work. So what I'm saying is that when you do the kind of research that I've been doing on secret societies and what's going on behind the world powers, that's very dangerous. I have come to understand. I thought I was doing something, something of importance many years ago when I first started getting into the world of secret societies and hidden symbols and generally speaking, the occult world. And the word occult, I have to say again, the word occult simply means hidden, period. And so anything which is hidden is occult. And so I got into the world back in 1959, 1960s. I mean, almost, 57 years ago, something like that. I became very interested in the secret world of power around me. Who really owns the banks? Who really runs government? Who is it that has the authority to print money? Who do the police represent? What is government? What is religion? And where did theology and religion come from? And the more you begin to look at the world you live in, the more it becomes obvious that there is a dark force that is in place around the world. All over this earth, there is a dark, sinister, and evil presence behind the scenes that is making sure that everything runs the way it's supposed to, and that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and the millions of people in the street who are frustrated and angry at the system all they can do is go out into the streets and in a massive demonstration of their hatred for the system and their frustration and vent their frustration on riots, etc. I realized that there's something wrong a long time ago when I was a kid, and I knew that there was powers behind the people who supposedly are running our country. And so the longer I played with this subject and read and studied and asked questions and would research on these questions, like I said, for some 56 years I've been doing nothing but that. And it's become an extraordinary experience in my life. At 76 years old, I have been doing this for, like I said, about 56 years of my life. And I have come across some extraordinary information, which is going to happen if you keep continually reading and studying and talking to people who are in the know, corresponding with research societies, and just living the life of a maverick researcher, author, writer. You're going to find some really interesting stuff that's going on in the world, but most people are not aware of. And when you do, you're also going to find that you've opened up a can of worms, and you're going to have to pay for the knowledge the knowledge you've obtained. You're going to pay for. Some people pay with their lives. Some researchers pay with their broken families. Quite a few of them end up in prison and lost their freedom and lost their family. And that's the way it's always been. I mean, even go back to things as mundane as Nikola Tesla during the 100 years that he was around. Nikola Tesla was a great electrician, genius in electricity, and gave us the world that we live in today. And yet he died a pauper and was continually fighting the powers that be that did not want him to explain to us how we could get free energy forever just out of the earth. So I know what happened to people like that who are on the cutting edge and trying to help their fellow man. They usually end up in prison, dead, broke, or something. And so I pretty much knew that when I first started. I kind of figured that's what was ultimately going to happen to me, and it has. But I would not take anything for the privilege I've had of being able to know what I know and what I've been through and what I have seen with my own eyes and witnessed as to how this world really works. It's an extraordinary story of betrayal of the human race. So I have, as a matter of fact, I mentioned quite a few years ago, I started talking about the fact that there was one subject in particular that I was really very interested in. And out of that, of course, came many other kindred subjects that I got involved with. But this one subject I happened to stumble upon it back in 1967. My God, that's a long time ago. 1967. I was in Glendale, California, and some of you may have heard the story before. But I was in Glendale, California, in a Glendale library, looking at some information and doing some research on the Nazi Party and the Communist Party and the fascist world movement. And I was preparing to do a seminar on the subject of secret societies in world religion and government. And this was in 1967, late 67. And I came across an article in the World Book Encyclopedia. World Book Encyclopedia on the subject of Russia and Soviet Union. And on the first page of that article, there was, of course, pictures of the Red Square, and on the lower right of the first page was two pictures, one showing the national flag of the Soviet Communist Empire. And it was, of course, the red flag with the hammer and sickle. And then beneath that, there was another picture of the national coat of arms, the official seal, so to speak, of the Soviet Union. And that official seal caught my eye. And for some reason, which I have no idea why, I realized with an immediacy that I was seeing something which ultimately is going to be extraordinarily important in the world to come, in the world of symbols. This was in 67, And that symbol was the national coat of arms for the Soviet Union, which had a reef of wheat wrapped around, like the United Nations symbol, a reef wrapped around the earth, and there was a sunrise behind the earth with the hammer and sickle. But the mere fact of that sunrise behind the earth caught my attention, and I realized that there was something about that symbol that I've seen before. And this is what I have been doing pretty much all my life, is what you would call pattern recognition. And I had already watched and seen this same symbol, the sun rising over the earth, sun rising over the mountains of the east, etc., etc. And I began just reading that little article. It was only about 2 or 3 sentences, but what it said it struck my attention like a like a brick hitting me in the head. And I realized that this is very important. And I didn't know how important. Well, that was back in 1967. And since 1967, I've been researching this same subject because I know that there's something, and each year I become more and more convinced that this was a monumental, monstrous subject, this symbol. And so I've wanted to do, over the years, I've wanted to do a video on this subject and bring this particular symbol of the Soviet National Coat of Arms and what it actually represents, bring this information out into the world for the people of this world to see where it came from and what it means and what it implies. And I've done a little bit of that from time to time over the years, but with the coming of computers into my life in the mid-90s, I began to be able to, for the first time, to do what I wanted to do technologically with computers. Because before I was just photographing documents and pictures, etc., and doing slide presentations, slideshows. And that worked for a while, but it really wasn't very impressive to the audience or me. But at least it got my message out. But with the coming of the computer and the technology, I've been able to now do a lot more and a lot better presentations. And so all of this I'm saying is to let you know that I now have a documentary that I have produced. It's called Cosmocratorus, or Cosmocrat. And it's well over an hour explaining the symbols of the Soviet Union that I found back in 1967 that I knew implied something far, far bigger, and I explained what it implied then, why I thought it was important, and now today what it actually in point of fact implies today, and why it is, as I thought, one of the most extraordinary, important occult symbols ever developed. Because when you see the President of the United States, all of the different presidents since I've been alive, using the same terms that symbol uses, that Soviet communist symbol uses, and then when you see the universities, colleges, police departments, sheriff's departments, all kinds of government agencies around the world, United Nations, European governments, like I said, all kinds of institutions, educational, medical institutions, governmental, especially banking, commercial institutions, all of them are using the same identical symbol. And all of them are using the same identical words and explanation. And I realize the more I look at this thing is so incredibly large and so big that the world is using it everywhere, and no one seems to realize what this is really all about. And so I totally am convinced for myself that there must be some sort of a preternatural presence on the earth that is causing the human race to accept things that they don't understand, accept symbols and emblems and words and terms, and not see the significance of them until one day when the entire world is in the streets and there's anarchy all over the earth. And in those times of anarchy and violence and street violence and massive social unrest, you begin to see those symbols everywhere, promoting violence, promoting revolution, etc. So all of this I found to be extraordinarily fascinating stuff But at the time, when I was like 25, 26 years old, I did not have the background or the experience or the wisdom to be able to really, truthfully understand the significance of what I was seeing. But now that I have been able to stay alive this long at 76 years old, I've done a lot of research on this one subject, and it's really very, very big, very ancient, very old, but very large. It's involving the whole entire world. So it implies, as far as I'm concerned, that there's some sort of an organized effort by a particular group, someone who has a particular agenda. And that agenda is promoted by and promotes this symbol. And so I have made a video on this, and if you go on my website, you can order it. My website is Jordan Maxwell Show, SHOW. Anything else with Jordan Maxwell's name on it is not mine. But I have a Jordan Maxwell Show. And on my website, which is actually a podcast, I haven't been able to do very much on the podcast in the past year or so because of my problems that I'm having trying to stay alive and fight my enemies to stay alive. But if you go on my website, Jordan Maxwell Show, you will see a little banner above the picture that says Research Society. What that is another website which I have put up, which is a private information. I'm putting up all of my information, all of my research from over the years. Little by little, I'm putting up as much as I can each week of all the research I've been doing on audio, videos, research files, pictures, documents, on all kinds of subjects, incredible subjects that a lot of people don't even know exist, and where these ideas have come from, who promotes them, what banks are all about, what insurance companies are all about, what government really is, who the police really are, why do we have the world of chaos and confusion we have today. It's all very, very understandable once you get the big picture. And of course, I've got a lot of material on that research website for theology and religion, the occult world of religion, all the secret stuff that's going on in Islam and Judaism and Christianity that people have no idea in the world what is really happening with these religions and where they've come from. I will give you a tip on that subject, that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all three come from Hinduism. The Hindu religion is the parent of all three of the major religions today, but none of those three religions ever talk about their beginnings, where they came from. They act like they don't even know anything about it, when in point of fact, all you have to do is just study the three major religions today, and you will see they all came from India, from the Hindu religion. And so that alone is most important to religious world around the earth today. Most people don't know that they're religions which they feel are the God's honest truth and the bottom line truth, and then you come to find out, no, you're just copying something the Hindus did many thousands of years ago. Christianity, Judaism is especially a Hindu-founded religion. So much of what the Jews believe comes directly from the Hindus. And Islam, of course, has a lot of Grecian gods. A lot of material about the Greek gods are involved in Islam. A lot of Hindu concepts and beliefs are based in the Islamic religion. So I'm just saying that the whole world that we live in today is not what you think it is. Not what you think it is at all. Insurance, banks don't do what you think they do. The police are not there to do what you think they are. Governments were not founded to do what you think they do. Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. And until you spend a lifetime looking behind the scenes, the dark realities of the world in which you live, and see how things actually in point of fact work, will you begin to understand what I'm saying, that the world is not what you think it is. And so I've done a lot of research on this one symbol, and if you're interested in this symbol, it is the bottom line today in America. And I knew that the trouble was coming because I talked about it many years ago, that there would come a time that if America wanted to opt out of this secret society, if American people woke up and realized what was going on behind their backs and decided they don't want to crawl on their knees to their masters anymore, and they want to bring back the American way of life, that it was going to cause great chaos and tragedies in America, a great revolution, so to speak. Well, that's what's happening now because of the latest political developments. Now, Democrats are in the streets, young people are in the streets rioting and ranting and raving, never for a moment understanding what's really going on in America, what is actually, in fact, happening, and why things are the way they are. And they're never going to find out. So this is why I have devoted so much time to this one subject, because now everywhere I look today, and the chaos and confusion and the animosity and stuff that's going on in America today, I see that same old symbol, the same identical words and the same symbol today everywhere. Like I said, what I've been doing for many years is called pattern recognition. And I have begun to see this pattern developing since 1967 as a basis for revolutions, riots, civil unrest, etc. And I knew, and I have said on other radio shows in the past, that if America ever did wake up, the American people were been sleeping for a long time, but if they ever woke up and realized that there's an organized effort to destroy this country, to destroy the human race, to destroy the values that the human family on the earth have cherished for centuries. If they ever woke up, the American people ever woke up and decided to do something about reestablishing the great values, the human values that the world has been working toward all these years, all these centuries, there's going to be chaos in the street. And today, as I've said in the past, and today it's happening, just as I said it would. Because the young people and the people in the streets today who see in the new president a reason to be rioting in the streets and doing all of the chaotic things which are happening, it's understandable. I understand what is going on. I understand who's doing it and why. This is all being orchestrated by secret societies. Which and the way you can tell that in overwhelming proof is look at the symbols that the rioters are using. Look at the symbols on the flags and the signs. Look at the words that they are using. And if you've studied the subject of agitprop, which is a political term for the agitation propaganda that the CIA, NSA, international terrorist organizations use to create chaos, is called agitprop, agitation propaganda. And if you study agitation propaganda for many, many years, then you will know already what I'm talking about. That there is a secret order in the world that is overthrowing civilizations around the planet, around the world. And they're using the people as cannon fodder. They're using the people to overthrow governments. And the people think that they are out there, demonstrating for freedom and liberty and justice, when actually, in fact, what is happening is that they are working for secret societies and fraternal orders who are manipulating and exploiting the people's ignorance. And ultimately, when this chaos that's in the world today, when this chaos is over, we're going to wake up and find out we have destroyed our own world, the world that we humans live in. We have purposely joined into this massive, well-laid plan to destroy humanity, to destroy the human family, and obviously to destroy freedom and liberty and justice, honor, decency, anything and everything that the human race has been built on and worked toward for so many centuries is now going wholesale down the toilet. It's being flushed down and flushed out of the history of the human race. Why? Because of particular secret societies which have a particular agenda. And once you see who they are and what they're doing and how they've done it over the centuries, and see the connections that goes from one century to the next with the same symbols, the same words, the same terms, and begin to see for the first time what a lot of people are calling the big picture. When you begin to see for the first time the outline of the big picture, it's absolutely frightening, because you, for the first time, begin to realize how big the world chaos really is, and how it is very successful this chaos is in getting done what its owners want. The people who are promoting this chaos and violence and political unrest around the world have an agenda. They have an idea that they want to accomplish. And they're using the people to slowly but surely, ultimately, one day, bring about what they have been working for many, many years. So it's just an incredible story that I would like for you to know that there is an answer to it. And I've been working on this same subject for many years. And I've had a lot of notes I wanted to talk with you about tonight, but I'm not doing too well. I don't feel well tonight, so I'm not going to be able to get into a lot of the details. But if you are interested in this subject about secret societies and use of symbols and emblems right now today, in America today, on the streets, and what's going on at this very moment in France and in Europe, and look at the symbols and words and the terms, and you'll see how they're all connected behind the scenes. So if you're interested, I have, as I said, a second website on my website called Jordan Maxwell Show, jordanmaxwellshow.com. And on my jordanmaxwellshow.com, you will see another website. It's called Research Society. And again, all that is just a second website in which I am putting all of my research into private. I've been told by some lawyer friends of mine that, and I knew some of this many years ago, but I've been told that if you belong to an organization, a society, a group, a church group, or a social group, or a club, or a gang, or whatever, and if you belong to this club, or group, or church, or society, you can, if you go to where your people meet, into a church or a clubhouse or wherever it is that you meet, you are able to say anything about anybody using any kind of language you please, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. It's like you going to a restaurant with your friends, and about 10 of you go to a restaurant, and you sit in the back of the restaurant and you're talking around a big table, everyone's talking. Well, what is being said there at that table is private. No one else has a right to come in and sit and listen to what's being said with you and your friends over dinner. It's a private conversation. And as long as everybody at the table doesn't mind, you can use any language you want. No matter how bad the language, no matter what you're calling people, you can use any language you please, because it's a private conversation. And governments are empowered to protect the people. Governments are empowered to protect the people. That means that whatever it is you're saying in private, no matter how bad it may be, no matter what kind of cursing or what terms you're using for other people, it's private conversation. But if you go out on radio and television or in the public and start talking that way in the public, that's different. Now you're talking to the public, and the government is empowered to protect the public. And so now the government can come in and arrest you and fine you or put you in jail or whatever, because they are there to protect the people from hearing your ideas and hearing your language that you're using. So the bottom line is, I'm saying that I was told, and it was a good advice I feel, that if you're going to talk about subjects which might possibly get you in trouble, or talk about, have pictures or documents or research papers on something that you very well couldn't get in trouble talking about in public, then start a private website where people have to join the website, and only those people who join are able to access this information. Now, if someone accesses the situation, that information research society, and goes out into the public and talks about and shows some of the videos or the documents or whatever, and if they get in trouble comes because you're talking about something you're not supposed to talk about in public, it's not my fault. I put my work out in private. So, people who would take that and go public with it and get in trouble, it's not my problem. I put it out in private. So that's why I'm doing this. This is why I'm letting you know. I'm doing this with this research society to keep my work private, because I've been talking publicly for a long time, and it's gotten me nothing but heartache and tragedy and trouble and confusion, and I've lost a lot because of who I am and what I do. I've had to pay a terrible price, and I'm too old to pay that price any longer. So I want to let everyone know that I have on my homepage. My website is Jordan Maxwell Show, but on that homepage you will see a Research Society website. And if you're interested in all the kinds of things that I talk about, I've got it all on that research website. It's only $30 one time, $30 subscription for a lifetime subscription. And I continue to put up on and upload onto that website continually, daily, all kinds of documents, pictures, audio, just an enormous amount of information in many different categories. And they're all itemized in different categories, so that there's just a lot there that it will take you, a long time to just go through all sorts of information and dark subjects that a lot of people do not even know exist. One of my favorite sections of that research website is the theology and religion, because there is so much in theology and religion, cults from Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists, Christadelphians, Worldwide Church of God, the Communist Party. My God, there's just an enormous amount of information about Judaism, Islam, Christianity that people have no idea in the world about. Where these ideas have come from, where these concepts in different religions have developed, what the real story is behind the scenes of where these things have come from. So I'm particularly interested and fascinated with that subject of theology and religion. So I've got a lot of material on that, but I also have a lot of stuff in special folders on very controversial research documents about government, about banking, and about law, and it's a whole world of information. So just letting you know, because I don't know how long I will be able to do radio. I don't know how long I'll be able to continue doing the work that I do. So I just want to let everyone know what's there now while it's still there. Because with my life, I never really know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be doing radio next month or even be here next month at my age. My heart is bad. And I'm 76 years old, and it's so I don't figure I'll be here much longer anyway. And so I do the best I can to put the material out and hope that everyone who's interested will avail themselves of it. So that was one of the things I wanted to talk about, at least let you know that I've got 2 new videos, brand new videos. I've just got through just putting them out today on the web, and they're on my website. You can order them. One is called Cosmocrats. The word is actually cosmocratorus, but I narrowed it down to cosmocrats. Cosmos means world, and krats means ruler, like Democrats and plutocrats. So krats means ruler, and cosmos means world. So the subject matter of my video is called World Rulers. Cosmocrats, who are they? Where did they come from? What organizations and secret society do they belong to? And what's really behind the American elections and the international banking cartels in America and Europe? What's really going on in Germany and France right now and in Europe? And what's the real story behind the symbols and the emblems and national coats of arms and flags and heraldry and corporate logos? The whole world is connected in a dark way that you're not aware of. And I've been aware of this for many years. I've been trying to wake people up to the fact that the whole entire world is connected behind the scenes in a way that you didn't know. Corporations, companies, governments, universities, law enforcement, banking, real estate, all of it is connected behind the scenes in secret societies and subversive movements. It's one hell of a story once you begin to really go down the rabbit hole, so to speak, and take the red pill and start waking up and finding out how the world you live in really actually works and where it came from and how we got to where we are today. So that's what I do. That's what I call pattern recognition. And so that's what I've been doing all my life. And I'm continuing to do it right now because I want to leave a legacy of wisdom and knowledge and understanding when I leave here. I've always wanted to be able to enlighten people educate my fellow man. I'm not the world's foremost, and I've said this so many times before, I'm not the world's foremost authority on anything. I'm just an ordinary man pursuing extraordinary knowledge. But one thing I do bring to the table, if anything of any value that I have, is one thing. I have been privileged in my life, because of the way I have lived, I have been privileged to meet and be in the company of extraordinary people, incredibly brilliant people who know things that the most of the world has never heard before. And I've been able to sit and listen to people talking about subjects that I know the world of mankind has never heard anything about. And that's why I want to pay back to the world that I live in, give back something before I leave here. I want to give knowledge and understanding and point people in the direction to where things have come from, and the words and the terms they may hear the president use, and the words and the terms the Congress and the Senate may use, and where these words come from, and what do they really mean, and how, who is behind what we call police and public policy, and all of these terms mean something. And so that's what I've tried to do all my life, is just to awaken people to do their own homework, to do their own study, and just make them aware that there is a world of knowledge out there that people don't know anything about. That's the biggest problem, just alerting people to the fact that there are incredibly important subjects that they've never been told about. So that's what I do, JordanMaxwellShow.com. And when you go there, if you want to join my research society, just click on the button. It's all very simple to tell you how to do it. Incidentally, when we're talking about banks and commerce and business, a lot of people do not know that there's a company in New York. There's a company called Depository Trust Company. The Depository Trust Company. It's just a little, it's just a building in New York on, it's on Water Street, W-A-T-E-R, Water Street, 55 Water Street in New York City. This is a classic example of the kind of thing I'm talking about. People talk about banks and financial institutions, but there's a place called the Depository Trust Company. It's in New York City. It's not very impressive building, and it's just a company. But what most people do not know about Depository Trust Company is it's one of the largest private banking trust companies in the world. They have $19 trillion behind them. And let's see, I'm reading right now, it said the Depository Trust Company is the world's largest security depository, holding nearly $19 trillion in assets for its participants and its customers. Last year, the Depository Trust Company possessed over 164 million book entries and deliveries valued at more than $77 trillion. How many people know that there's just a little company in New York called the Depository Trust Company that has been doing business over $77 trillion? And who are these people that control that kind of flow of money and wealth? Who are they? Who started it? Well, the next question you got to ask is, who in the world started the Federal Reserve and the Internal Revenue? Where did that come from? A lot of people do not know that the Federal Reserve that prints your so-called money, and the Internal Revenue, which is the collection agency connected to the Federal Reserve, the Internal Revenue and the Federal Reserve, their headquarters. The headquarters for both of those corporations is in Puerto Rico, not in America, and not in the United States of America. It's in Puerto Rico. Federal Reserve, Internal Revenue. Why Puerto Rico? Well, it has to do with pirates of the Caribbean. And Puerto Rico was picked a long time ago, many centuries ago, by the pirates to be a home base for piracy in the Caribbean. And this is why ABC and Disney makes a movie with the very talented young actor, what was it called? The Pirates of the Caribbean. But when you watch the movie Pirates of the Caribbean, never realizing for a moment that the movie Pirates of the Caribbean has to do with the actual pirates who actually were in the Caribbean. And those Pirates of the Caribbean became known today as the international bankers of today. The Pirates of the Caribbean later became known as the British banking fraternities the American banking fraternities out of New York, Morgan Guaranty Trust, City National Bank, all of the great banking institutions were founded by the Knights Templars or the Pirates of the Caribbean. And it's so easy to show the connections between ABC television and Disney Studios, one and the same. ABC is Disney. Disney owns ABC. And ABC Disney created Pirates of the Caribbean, but they've also created many other movies that are telling you things. One of the most incredibly subversive motion picture operations today in America is ABC Disney. They are involved in all kinds of dark stuff that will blow your mind when you find out what they are involved in. ABC and Disney Studios. Walt Disney would probably turn over in his grave if he saw what's happened to his studio. But they are involved in some very, very powerful, dark, revolutionary stuff. And this is all I can tell you because you'll have to get my video, and it's called Cosmocrats. Get the video, and I will show you with the pictures and documents all of what I'm saying you will see for the first time when you get my video. And there's a second video with it on religion, and that's one that I have been working on for many years too. So the two of these new videos are dealing with religion and politics in the world today, all over the earth, not just in corrupt America, but in all over the earth. There's a whole world of dark things going on in politics and religion and money and government. And people who know me and know my work will remember I talk a lot about words and terms and symbols and why we live by these words and terms and corporate logos and national coats of arms and seals and flags and stamps, etc. All of this is very, very interesting, especially when you find out it's all connected. All the countries of the world are connected behind the scenes. All banking and all government agencies around the world are connected behind the scenes. And that the people of this world do not know that Russia is just as connected in America, and China is to Asia, Asia is to the West is to the East. All countries, banking, fraternal organizations, educational societies, they're all connected. You're not supposed to know that. And somebody somewhere is ruling over this world of darkness. If you'll remember in the Bible, you may have heard this scripture quoted. It's been quoted quite a bit, where the Apostle Paul said, I think it's in the Ephesians, the Apostle Paul said, talking about Christians, he said, we have a war or a fight, not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the world rulers of darkness. And I thought that was very interesting. Thousands of years ago, the man Saul of Tarsus, who later becomes known as the Apostle Paul, who is responsible for giving us about 2/3 of the Bible, 2/3 of the New Testament. And but Paul himself, the Apostle Paul, was in point of fact not a Christian as such. He was a Gnostic. And a Gnostic Christian. So a lot of Christians in churches today have no idea in the world that 2/3 of the Bible is written by, 2/3 of the Christian scriptures, the New Testament, is written by a Gnostic, not a Christian. But he says that we have a war, not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and the world rulers of darkness. And I thought, wow, there's a loaded statement if I ever heard one. What are you talking about? World rulers of darkness. Well, the implication is that the darkness, all of the confusion and chaos and violence and craziness that's going on in the world today with wars and drive-by shootings and killings, all of the confusion in the human race, as we would call it, just darkness. It's the darkness of the human mind. Well, the Apostle Paul says in Ephesians that this world of darkness is ruled over by what he calls the world rulers of world darkness, or the rulers of world darkness, which implies that our world is being run from behind the scenes. And that's why I have a website called Jordan Maxwell Show. I'm inviting you to go on and and for yourself get a membership in my research society and get the 2 videos. You will find them to be very, very interesting and fascinating. A lot of great research material. If you want to start looking down the rabbit hole, get my video, Cosmocrats. and it's on my website, Jordan Maxwell Show. Again, I want to thank you for hearing me, and I'll try and be here next week. I really love doing the shows, but I'm not always able to do it, but I'll try and be here next week. And again, I want to thank you for hearing me.
No rules, no taboo topics, no fear of doom, We are American Freedom Radio.
The president is the chief executive officer of this corporation called the United States of America.
Can you handle the truth? Welcome to the Jordan Maxwell Show.
Hello, my friends. This is Jordan Maxwell. I'm back with you live this time. I've been having a lot of problems with my life and being able to do the shows and do what I want to do. So I've been struggling to fight enemies and all kinds of problems. So that's why I so many times have been able to miss doing my show on Saturday evenings. And so I want to apologize for that, but I'm still struggling to stay alive. I have many enemies that do not want me doing what I do and are seeking to make sure that I fail in my mission to wake people up. So there's a lot of strange things going on around the world, and people like myself and others who are on the cutting edge of trying to wake people up are having enormous amount of problems. I've talked about this before, but I think it bears witness again to talk about it for a moment. If you want to get a little knowledge about something in this world, you get what you pay for. If you want a little knowledge, well, then you can probably get a book on the subject you're interested in. It costs a few dollars, and that's about it. But if you want a deeper understanding, maybe you can go to a school or a seminar or something like that, and it may cost you a little more money. But this way, you'll be able to hear experts and ask questions. But that's going to cost you more than a book. And of course, if you really want more information, well, of course, you can go to university and go to college or study the subject. And but that's really going to cost you now when you're going to college and university. And there's no guarantee you get what you're looking for anyway. But the point being is that you get in this world what you pay for. So if you want knowledge, you're going to pay a little something. If you want a little more knowledge, then you're going to pay a little more. If you want the really important knowledge, the kind that people are looking for but don't have, you're really going to pay for that. And once you finally get into this whole idea of the truth, as opposed to the mainstream lies and deception, you're going to discover, as I have and others like me, that the world becomes very different than what you think it is. Once you really begin to delve into the dark side of humanity, the dark side of the world you live in, government, law, commerce, etc., you will begin to find out, as others have, as I have, that there's a world of darkness out there that does not want you probing what they're doing. And they will do whatever they can to harass you, to destroy your name, your reputation, to rip you off, steal from you, do whatever they can to ruin you and your reputation in your work. So what I'm saying is that when you do the kind of research that I've been doing on secret societies and what's going on behind the world powers, that's very dangerous. I have come to understand. I thought I was doing something, something of importance many years ago when I first started getting into the world of secret societies and hidden symbols and generally speaking, the occult world. And the word occult, I have to say again, the word occult simply means hidden, period. And so anything which is hidden is occult. And so I got into the world back in 1959, 1960s. I mean, almost, 57 years ago, something like that. I became very interested in the secret world of power around me. Who really owns the banks? Who really runs government? Who is it that has the authority to print money? Who do the police represent? What is government? What is religion? And where did theology and religion come from? The more you begin to look at the world you live in, the more it becomes obvious that there is a dark force